like to particularly add my very warm welcome to Nripendra Misra ji. Not only that we worked together in the Commerce Ministry for some time when I was Commerce Secretary, but the way he has distinguished himself post that as the Principal Secretary to the Honorable Prime Minister in his first term, and then as the Director and Chairperson of the Museum, Nehru Museum, now the Prime Minister's Museum and Library. And more importantly, as the person who was entrusted by the Honorable Prime Minister to actually command, control and deliver the construction of the Ram Mandir, a legacy that the nation has now restored to its proper position after a gap of maybe more than 800 years. He has done this with meticulous devotion of time, dedication, energy and fine leadership, and coordinating so many diverse elements which have to come for carrying out the construction of a fantastic Ram Mandir. A legacy for the Hindu Sanatan Dharma legacy of our country of thousands of years, and something which will mark out this country's great contribution to brotherhood, fraternity, universal love and compassion, which is the hallmark of the Hindu tradition. So I want to just acknowledge, and I'm sure I basically reflect your sentiments in warmly congratulating him and wishing him the best of many, many more years of service to the nation and to our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me add to your warm greetings to Shri Nripendra Misra. I'm very particularly obliged that he has agreed to deliver a lecture. As Shri Khanna spoke about him, let me echo everything what Shri Khanna spoke about. The fact is that I've known Shri Misra for as many years, if slightly lesser than you. And it has always been a great pleasure of having interacted with him when he was in service. One of our, as I would speak, let me begin with expressing my gratitude to both Shri Khanna and Misra, and to distinguished members in the audience for gracing this 40th anniversary celebrations of our organizations. Over the year, we have been organizing these events around the world, and the first one was held in April in Geneva, when the Director General of WTO, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, had delivered the talk. In fact, it was a fireside chat between me and her, particularly looking at the kind of flux which the WTO is in. And she's one of the most intrepid persons that I've ever met, championing the cause, a cause which is quite dismal as we stand. And this is what she said about us at this particular event, which I thought is relevant in this context, is for a civil society organization from a developing country to be able to last this long is something to be really proud of. I want to congratulate you personally and Kutch for the substantive work that you do. Our second event was held in New Delhi with Shri Amitabh Kant. I don't know, Shri Amitabh Kant was to be here, and Shri Harshvardhan Shringla on the future of the G20 as it was evolving. This was in June, so we're still about 5 months before the summit happened. Of course, the thrust was, and very validly, was on climate change. Both of them spoke very eloquently and forcibly, I would say assertively, about the fact is that we require huge amount of money in order to be able to deal with the kind of harm or the damages which have happened due to the climate change. And what we added subsequently was biodiversity. And one of the remarkable things about Shri Amitabh Kant, which I would like to speak publicly, is that he and his team led to the outcome of a unanimous document, which is a remarkable achievement because it's not an easy task. If you look at all the previous 17 declarations, they have never been unanimous, they have been chairman's declarations or chairman's text. as it were. And those of you who are familiar with international negotiations would know how easy it is or not easy in order to get a kind of a declaration which has a wide agreement, particularly considering the Russia-Ukraine conflict, since both of them are there. But anyway, I wish he was here, may be coming. In between, we had many events which included 3 in Australia, 1 in US and 1 in Jaipur, and the last one in Chennai with Dr. C. Rangarajan. He spoke brilliantly on the growth prospects of India in a very positive manner. And it is still, I find it very useful to read his columns, which are very perspicacious and useful for the purpose of our economic growth. This is the 12th in the series of these events. These events have helped us in fostering a dialogue between our past and the present while addressing the future, thus helping us with our work agenda for future. Today I am filled with a sense of togetherness and fulfillment, Khanna sir. There are several reasons for them. While I see many friends and well-wishers in the audience and all of them have helped us in our journey, some of you may not have much idea about how arduous it was. In that respect, there are few of whom, this is an emotional moment, will ever remain indebted to Shri Khanna and Misra, or 2 of them. I remember the support that we received from Shri Khanna in the mid-1980s when he was the Commerce Secretary of India. More than the monetary support, to do a first of its kind study on the proposed OECD's multilateral investment agreement. It put us on a firm footing nationally and internationally, and the faith and confidence that he showed to a fledgling organization mattered a lot. He also put me in his think tank, following which I served on several national advisory committees on international trade policies chaired by the Commerce and Industries Minister, of which Shri Khanna was, Shri Misra was also a part as a senior civil servant in the Commerce Ministry. Anyway, that said, let me go back to Shri Khanna's time, that he got all the officers of the Trade Policy Division of the Commerce Ministry into the same page, and we understood the true meaning of inclusiveness, Khanna sir. Similarly, Shri Misra, when he was Special Secretary in the Department of Commerce and in his subsequent avatars, encouraged us to do more and more work in the areas of trade, competition, investment, and economic regulation. He also recognized the value of our research, which helped the Government of India to frame its own trade policies. He was one of those rare civil servants who could speak publicly about it rather than not. In the real politics of trade negotiations, he kept on underlining that non-academic is as important as academic. Trade negotiations are not just about protecting and ensuring producer welfare, consumer welfare is equally important. Our pitch for consumer welfare is something which put us squarely on the center stage of international trade policy, which was otherwise focused on producer interests. Said the venerable trade economist Jagdish Bhagwati, who's just retired from Columbia University at the age of 90. There was a wonderful article on him by Arvind Pangadia in yesterday's Times of India. What he said was, in a country like India where there is an excessive abundance of intellectuals who seem to think that the virtue materializes just because you wish it so, and who therefore do harm rather than good, Pradeep has been one of the rare voices for advocating policies that achieve virtuous outcomes. CUTS is by far the most impressive non-governmental organization today. Fortunately, I have the rare honor of having been an NGO advisor to 3 WTO Generals, Supachai Panishpakri, Pascal Lamy, and now Ngozi. Perhaps the only Indian to have been thus recognized. Thus, much before the term the arrival of the India at the global stage gained prominence, it was well-wishers like Shri Khanna and Misra who encouraged an Indian civil society organization to go out and make its presence felt among the international committee. And this is an exceptional admiration that I have for both of them. I mean, we've dealt with so many, there were other good civil servants also, but they were exceptional. Coming to the topic of today's event, perhaps, I mean, both of them had seen the Indianness ingrained in us. Coming to the topic of today's event, some may wonder what is its relationship with our core areas of work. To me, the answer lies in the fact that Shri Ram Lalla's temple in Ayodhya is a civilisational milestone, a leap of faith for many of us. Shri Khanna also, as I said, I have echoed most of the sentiments which Shri Khanna said in his welcome remarks. While this confidence was there in our society for centuries, more often than not, and also periodically, it was hidden rather than manifest. In case of Kutch, even when we were small, there was no dearth of confidence. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to continue a journey amidst risk and uncertainty and without set mentors or patrons. My blessings came from Gita, my mother. Karmanya vadikaraste ma felishu kadachana. That's the motto which guides my work and our work. Drawing from our example, and there are millions of such in India over the centuries, Shri Ram Lalla's temple will give us, the people of India individually and collectively, more confidence in addressing even more challenging issues in every sphere of our life and come up with amicable solutions. Not only that will provide a balanced pathway towards a Vikasit Bharat, but also, and more importantly, it will firmly place India as an intrinsic part of the solutions of the global problems, as said by Shri Khanna as well. India is growing, and unlike many wrong impressions, many new entrepreneurs are entering the business community thanks to the push of doing business easily. Though more needs to be done. There may be a few areas of concentration, and surely these will be addressed as we move forward. And if you look at the economy and look at the economist's comments, those are very gleaning and very enlightening that there is a thrust of entrepreneurship which is happening in India, and it is not as if wealth is concentrated in the hands of few only. There are a few concentrations undoubtedly, but that we'll address as we go along. Therefore, let me underline that this is the value that Kutch has pursued over 4 decades and will continue to do so. In future, we pray and hope that the regimes ruling our great country, India, imbibe the values of Maryada Purushottam Ram. I think that is an ideal that we need to think about as a guide for future. If at all we believe in Ram Lalla. While working on national, regional and global issues of our interest, we have not forgotten our societal obligations for ensuring fraternity, duty consciousness, value-based life and social justice. In short, we have followed inclusiveness and will continue to do so. To conclude, Shri Ram Lalla's temple has reminded us of intrinsic linkages between the virtues of life and society, and they will guide us and many others like us in future. I thank you and Shri Misra to deliver his valued keynote, after which Shri Khanna is requested to take over the proceedings. Thank you. Over to you. Just a little reminder, keep your phones on silent.
Mr. Khanna sir, my friend Sri Mehta, and all those people who are present here, I have known them before. And I am little, let me express that feeling. When I first reported to Mr. Khanna as additional secretary, he was Commerce Secretary. It was like a test. He asked few questions about my experience. But the experience that I had in his tenure, serving under him, that print which was there in my thinking, little bit in my style, it lasted. Even now is the same manner, I value that. So once again I am appearing today before him, and I remain as nervous as I was when I was additional secretary. In fact, I am reminded of, I have very often said about this. In academy, there used to be horse riding. We were all given training of horse riding. It was a must. But some of us were always very nervous while doing the riding. One such colleague of mine, name of course I won't reveal, he would first pick up the most well-behaved horse, make sure that he doesn't fall, and just before the riding is to start, he will pray to that horse that I have not come on you out of my own choice. I have been forced by Naval Singh, the trainer, and therefore I am riding. So please at least ensure that I don't fall in life. Exactly the same way I am here because Mr. Mehta insisted.
So call me Pradeep.
It has been 1 year. I have been, he would give me a call and then I'll say, look, I am so busy, committed. Then he will say, okay, I'll call you again after a month. He pursued the months of September, October. I could gain some time from him because Pran Pratishtha was to be done in January. In about 7 days' time of that, he again called me. So I thought that let me give another excuse to him. And all this was because I normally do not accept public engagements for various reasons. So I told him that, look, you are heading the cuts. Cuts should be doing something about WTO, which is in ICU. Why are you insisting on my... And at the moment, I talk nothing but temple. So I don't think your guests and members would like to hear about the temple. He said, no, you can talk about the temple. So even that short, I could not get out of him. And that's how I am here. When Khanna sir was speaking just now, I am sure I must have got my annual report expressing the similar sentiments as he did today. There are 4 civil servants who influenced my career. My working style, and even made, in short, course correction in my various positions. I just want to share with you, not that it is relevant here in this meeting. The first person was late Mr. S.B. Saran. I belong to UP cadre, so I was serving there. I was a special secretary in finance. And in the corridor, as I was going to my room, he was coming out from the chief minister's room, chief secretary's room. So I greeted him. I said, sir, what is it that you had gone? So he said that today there was a meeting to select the most efficient and bright officer. And the Home Secretary, he himself, the Chief Secretary. This was the time of Mr. Bahugna. He was Chief Minister. So I jokingly said that, sir, I am sure you must have selected yourself, given your very illustrious career. And you know what he said to me was a training? He said, Nripendra, I am senior enough to have established my reputation. But I have to take care of my juniors. I have to see that their reputation in the civil service, that is protected. They are encouraged. So I said, yes, sir, thank you. He didn't, of course, tell me who is the candidate. After about 15 days, I saw the notification, and he had, in fact, picked me as the officer, and I was given the award of that year. But that thing which rings in my mind is more important than the award. Take care of your juniors. Build them up. Don't bring their reputation down. Don't say words which will ensure that he doesn't enjoy that kind of confidence among the colleagues. I have tried to live. I won't say that 100% I have succeeded, but I did whatever best could be done. The second officer who influenced me was one Mr. Tribhuvan Prasad, who retired as Chief Secretary of UP and later became LG of Pondicherry. In one of the, he was Finance Secretary, I was his Special Secretary Finance. And in one file, he called me and said that, Misra, you must not spend so much of time on matters which are not so important. And as Finance Department Senior Secretary, you must allow such proposals of the departments to sail through rather than be negative about it. I had actually written a very long note of 4 pages why the cars those days, they should not have the air condition facility, and the officers and the ministers should continue to work without AC cars. He said, in this, I am not saving much, but I am very sure that my positive response would ensure cooperation of everybody. He approved it. But I learnt on that day not to get into petty matters while taking decisions. The third officer was TSR Subramaniam. Unfortunately, he is also no more, contemporary of Mr. Khanna. I served under him also. And he said two things to me. A, don't ever stretch any meeting which you preside for more than 1 hour. After 1 hour, it is a waste of time. And the second thing he said was, not many like that, but I fully endorse and would like to imbibe. He said, when you come to a meeting, you must already have in mind what is it that you want the meeting to decide. And guide everybody to that particular decision which you want. Don't let people float around with ideas. It is a waste. I saw him. He was very clear when he presided over meetings. And the fourth person is Mr. Khanna. He really has lived what an ideal civil servant should be. A disciplined officer, extremely disciplined about the time, about the decision making, did not care how a particular decision will affect his future. I recall he was attending his farewell. He was to superannuate. And he was thanking everybody in Pragati Maidan. There was a lunch. Mr. Subramaniam was also there. And not for a second he talked about what he will do after retirement. To anybody. All of us were asking those questions with very serious, long faces. Sir, what now? Retirement and all that. He was happy. He said, I have done my job. And you will be surprised. In about 2-3 days' time, the notification came that he has been appointed LG of Delhi. So the rewards came to him without seeking. One would say that in civil service, if you really want to live and want to sort of find out some personality who you would like to emulate, that is Mr. Khanna. Highest traditions of the civil service. That was expected. We never found him compromising on that. I said all these 4 things because in our life also they are very important in some manner or the other. While involving myself with the construction of the Ram Temple, many of these things which I learned during my tenure as a civil servant helped. And the most important one was, try and complete the project as per schedule. Fix a deadline. don't be unrealistic, but the deadline must be honored. We are trying to live with that particular discipline. Hopefully, the first phase, of course, got over in December 2023. The second phase, which is completion of the temple, completely, all the first floor, second floor, Shikhar. It is December 2024. And by September 2025, the complex of 71 acres, which has many other buildings. Generally, people think there is a temple, but it is not so. There is provision for auditorium, there is expectation of a museum, also other pilgrimage facilitation center for about 5,000 pilgrims at a time. So all those things are under construction. I wish to take you, and permit me on that, the value of life and how various governments, authorities, movements were not sensitive to this aspect of value of life. And I would narrate some events from British days onwards. That how a simple problem was not addressed as the problem of the citizen. It was more addressed as, on the surface, law and order issue, but just if you scratch below that, then there was hidden or persuasive manner within the persons concerned that it will have political gains, and therefore a decision which was possible should not be taken. It is in fact because of this, in my public interviews, I have spoken at length the great contribution of judiciary. When the judgment came in November 2019, it looked very simple. It was unanimous judgment. It settled both the communities. There was no bloodbath. There was no sense of victory of either communities. And the construction is going on. Both at few miles away is the mosque, and where the temple was, is the construction of the temple. Do you know that thousands of people died since the days of Mughals? Thousands of people. Some people, of course, talk in lakhs, but if not, population was much less. The riots were feature of the day. I will not talk about the Mughal period or before that. I would only talk about what really happened in British time mostly, and what happened after 1947 and why. Finally culminating up to 22nd January 2024. I have been a witness to the judgment of November 2019, witness in a different sense. All of you have read it. Many of you may have been in the Supreme Court to see it, how judgment was being delivered. Somewhere I could sense the actors who are behind it to bring justice, to highlight truth. You had judiciary, it was obvious. Same judiciary had adjourned on many dates till the particular bench came. And this bench heard for about 48 days, just before the Chief Justice was retiring, delivered the judgment. Not at all constrained by how, in what manner it will be viewed. They delivered their judgment. And some months back I was talking to the then Chief Justice who delivered, and he said, yes, there was a tension, and the best way to ventilate that was to have dinner. So that night all the 5 judges went out to have a dinner, and the one criterion was the judgment will not be discussed. Justice Gogoi said, we lived up to it. And they came out very relaxed. The rest is history. But think of another time. I take you to 1885, when the first application was moved by Mahant Raghubar Das to the local authorities. And what did he ask? He said, I have got a chabutra. Chabutra is a platform, a small platform. He said, please give me permission to put some kind of a shelter here, because it's very hot and people occasionally come. And they should be allowed. There was a clear wall. It in no case was disturbing the mosque. That precaution was already taken by the British. But the judge interestingly said in December of 1885 that it can lead to law and order and communal rights. Therefore, the permission to construct this platform will not be given. And his last word was there, it's in Hindi that I read. तुरंत आपराधिक मामला शुरू होगा और हजारों लोग मारे जाएंगे. The matter went before the appeal to the district judge. The district judge was one Colonel FEA Camier. He even made the spot inspection in March 86. But he was truthful. We have to acknowledge that. What he said, यह बेहद दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, अनफॉर्चुनेट, कि इस जमीन पर मस्जिद बनाई गई. I won't go into that. He writes it. जिसे हिंदू खास तौर से पवित्र मानते आए हैं. And this man had read all the records. लेकिन चूंकि यह घटना 356 साल पुरानी है, 1886, 356 साल पुरानी, यू कैन गेस. अब इस मामले में राहत देने के लिए बहुत देर हो चुकी है. सी द जजमेंट. टिपिकल लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एटीट्यूड ऑफ द डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कि भाई हम तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर देख रहे हैं, सिटीजन के सेंटिमेंट्स, राइट्स, ट्रुथ को हम नहीं देखते. दिस वाज अपहेल्ड एट ऑल द लेवल्स. It of course led to communal rights. The Hindus felt deprived. There were various visits right up to the Lieutenant Governor. Coming up to 1912, all these things were happening. And there were a series of riots during this period, right up to 1934. On various excuses, cow slaughter, what have you. But the riots were taking place in the background that the permission for the temple has been denied. And this temple was not replacing anything, not taking away the rights of any community. But it led to the results which later also happened in 1992. This is what happens if you deny justice. What happened then was, not many people know. I don't justify that, by the way. Let there be no such impression. The agitation was being led by Bairagis. What are Bairagis? They are sadhu-looking people clad in saffron, mostly moving on the streets. And in Ayodhya, it's very typical. Almost every house has a temple. These Bairagis, one fine morning, attacked the mosque. And they attacked all the teen gumbad. Teen gumbad the mosque. And one gumbad was completely demolished except the walls. The matter became serious. The government of India in 1934 got involved. Inquiries were held. Punishments were given. So we dealt with the authorities. We did not deal with the sentiments. The problem remained. We got independence. After the independence, again, there was a flicker of hope that something may come. And a petition was made to the district magistrate of similar nature. In 1949, the district magistrate reported that we cannot allow a fresh construction as much as we cannot also allow anything that we want to do about the present situation. Now you will naturally like to know what was the present situation then. The situation was that one fine morning in 1949, around 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 to 8 very well-known saints went for a dip in Saryu river, which is Ayodhya's Saryu is famous, and carried a child Ram in a basket from Saryu river and walked all the way where the platform was, Chabutra. They did not get into the mosque. And they quietly put it there. Now there is a controversy. People say, nahi, wo to pragat ho gaye the Bhagwan. But I think by, sorry?
It was an idol.
Idol, just, yeah. But bacha like. In Tokri, Ram Lalla, that's how the Ram Lalla word comes. It was placed there. The city in the morning got up with the news that Ram Lalla has appeared at the place where the Chabutra is. Thousands of people moved only in the direction with the idea of darshan. So it's not a surprise when on 23rd of January 5 lakh people came to have darshan of Ram Lalla in the new temple. Now, after the placement there, and the prayers started, Kirtan started, the whole thing took, I would call it unfortunate, a very unfortunate turn. A letter came from Chief Secretary to the then District Magistrate, Mr. K.K. Nair, saying that we are very disturbed that some idol has been placed at the place where there was only a platform, and in fact that letter copy is available in the manuscript section, here even in the Sangrahalaya. And the orders were that it must be taken out from there, and a procedure was given. कैसे वहां से हटाना है चुपचाप. District Magistrate reported back to Lucknow, and Lucknow reported back to Delhi, and Delhi, because this letter was from the Prime Minister of India, written to Govind Vallabh Pant, saying that the district magistrate is of the view that it cannot be done. Nobody will even touch, the local population will not even touch with the intent to remove it, and it will lead to riots. There was a series of correspondence which led to the resignation of Mr. Nair from the civil service. But he was also placed under suspension at the same time. However, the idol could not be removed. What happened was, after that, that the magistrate passed an order of attachment. This power is there with the district magistrate or the magistrate, that if you apprehend law and order, then you can lock any property and you can exclude that property from its use. So this lock was put there, nobody would go there, and what is called action under section 145. This situation remained. The movement, which was very restricted to few sadhus, now had become political. And a new word was introduced, Kar Sevak. So the agitation now was becoming a mass movement to claim the temple. The cases moved from criminal courts to civil courts. I won't take your time on that. But one of the most interesting thing which happened, probably during the time of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi or VP Singh, it was 86 sometime. When the district court and district judge called both the district magistrate and the superintendent police, and he had a leading question: is the locking, should it continue because there is apprehension of law and order? Both the district magistrate and SSP said none whatsoever. In fact, if you keep the law, they said it, not recorded, then it's a law and order problem. So the district judge passed one line order, called the DMSSP, they don't see any law and order issue, therefore the lock is removed. And the compliance, of course, was done in about few minutes or 3-4 hours, which of course became a news, because after that people started visiting this small little platform where there was the lock having been removed, and RC and all started. So in all this, the message which is the undercurrent is that the matter was never handled with the intent to resolve. Different people played different games. In 1990, I was in fact then Principal Secretary to Mr. Mulayam Singh. The car sevaks, they were agitating, they were threatening that they would go to the area, offer their prayers. But obviously and rightly, any mob could have just moved to the mosque, and the status quo obviously could have been disturbed. This is the time when the two chief ministers, one Bihar and the other Uttar Pradesh, they were enthusiastically planning to arrest Mr. Advani, who was on Rath Yatra. Both the chief ministers wanted to arrest Mr. Advani in their jurisdiction. In one case, of course, I am a witness, the arrangements were there. The chief minister was advised not to arrest by the police also there. But you know, arresting had a message of confirming secularism. So was the Chief Minister of Bihar. He was equally keen to arrest, to confirm that he is the most important secularist leader. And he did. Advani ji was arrested in Bihar. So the arrest in UP could not be made. Though the crown of secularism, therefore, that was given to Bihar Chief Minister. And the consideration was only one who will arrest. Of course, it led to the fall of the government in Delhi. But these things, you know, they are all part of the history in politics. There are many other currents I will not discuss here. In some manner I was very closely associated because I was there with Mulayam Singh ji, Principal Secretary, and then I was Principal Secretary to Kalyan Singh ji, the immediate successor. The matter was also getting agitated in Allahabad High Court, and the Allahabad High Court gave a very interesting judgment. It is known as a Panchayati judgment. What was the judgment? The dispute was then only of about 2.7 acres of land. And the judgment said that the clear ownership is not established of anybody. So 1/3 of this area will be given to one party. There were three parties, by the way. One was the Hindu-led, the other was Muslim-led, and the third was one called Nirmohi Akhada, who were claiming on the basis of ownership. So the judgment was 1/3 will go to Nirmohi Akhada, 1/3 will go to Muslim, 1/3 will go to Hindu. They can do whatever they want. Obviously, it satisfied none. And then the matter went to Supreme Court. Now, we are now talking of 2012 onwards. After years of hearing, finally in 2019 came the judgment which has settled this issue forever. A historic judgment. Judiciary would be remembered that how when the tempers run high, the judiciary has a role, something beyond just determination of certain legal rights based on documents. And they first absorbed that heat and then finally gave the judgment, which was the national consensus. It represented the consensus. As a result of that, the judgment, a trust was formed, which the Supreme Court had required. It is provided for in the judgment. And the Supreme Court has also provided that there will be a construction committee headed by some person who will be called the chairman of the construction committee. And he will then become, as a result of that petition, ex officio member of the trust. So the trust came into existence. We all came in 2020. That was the time when you all know that the whole world was affected of the corona. Nobody could visit. Those are the days when I recall I will go in a car from here to Ayodhya. It was about 9.5 hours. Ensuring that nobody comes in contact, the driver, myself. And there when we reach also the same thing. Precautions were taken. That was the time when the time mostly was spent with the drawings, designs, calculations, not the real construction. I would like to, at this point, acknowledge the strength, because Mehtaji is sitting and it is NGO, the strength of a non-governmental initiative. You know, the trust was autonomous. Both the communities, they were to construct, but government was not to give any assistance. No assistance was to be given either for the construction of the temple or for the mosque. It was to be done by the members, the locals, who have been pleading for the cause. So in 2021, early 2021, the trust decided to make an appeal for voluntary donation. It was a campaign of 42 days. More than 7.5 lakhs, 7.5 lakhs villages, covering 15 crore families, they were contacted in these 42 days. There is no second campaign of this nature in the world. There were 2 lakh lady workers, card sevak, or you can call just people who associated themselves, and 18 lakhs men. The total 20 lakh people, a team, a battery of 20 lakh people of the social organization went village to village and family to family with a receipt for contributing to the construction of the temple. All this led to collection of 3,200 crores. About 2,800 crores came through the digital system. About 39,000 workers went to the bank to deposit the donations, which was deposited in 42,000 bank branches. All that was deposited, all that was received, it has been audited now. And chartered accountants have given certificate. I especially mention this. In fact, it has become a case study for Harvard where it has been taken. Because this was the strength and this was the level of participation for construction of the temple, which led finally to whatever we see, read papers or we have visited. Let me just briefly touch in 5 minutes, because I have already taken more time. What is the temple? When the construction started, then there was one mandate, almost on a regular basis. It was being echoed by the people of Ayodhya, the sadhus of Ayodhya. They are very powerful, they are very vocal also, that this temple must last for 1,000 years, because all our ancient temples are, even now, they are more than 800 years, 1,000 years. In India, of course. Unfortunately, the technology has not been preserved. What technology went into the construction of the temples? But you can see it. The evidence is there. What better? I mean, you have to see it to believe it. So, the construction committee and the trust decided that let us have IITs involved in it. So IIT Chennai or Madras became the lead IIT, along with IIT Mumbai, IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi, IIT Surat, and Central Building Research Institute, Roorkee. These were the engineering institutions, apart from Larsen and Toubro, who were to implement, and Tata Consultant of Engineers, who were the project monitoring committee chief. But these are the people who contributed in the detailed design, engineering, and trust me, the problem comes almost on a daily basis. There are issues. Starting from, I will only give one example to sort of, you can then realize the scale of problem. When the foundation was to be designed and drawing of foundation was getting finalized, Larsen and Toubro had, for just, it is called experimental determination of the pressure which the soil would take or not. So the pile foundation, obviously the first solution. That was opted by L&T and they did it. What they do is that after they have done it in the soil, they simulate a particular load factor, the load which will come if the building was to be constructed. And not just load of that, but load which will come if 5 times of the earthquake intensity, whatever was experienced in Ayodhya, right from Nepal to Ayodhya, if 5 times of that intensity comes, even then what will be the resilience? That is calculated. It was seen that all the piles which were being tested, there was a slight bend. So the trust people were not ready to take the risk. L&T and TCE thought that no, we can still do it, but the trust did not. And therefore IIT Chennai agreed and recommended that in this 2.5 acres of land, the entire soil 15 meters deep has to be excavated. You can imagine what heap of mountain was created. And all that had to be done before the rainy season.
Humongous.
That was important. And then they said that this will be replaced by engineered soil, which will have the recommendation of IIT Chennai. And that soil will be mixed with whatever they have said. And layer by layer, it will be laid and compacted. So 47 layers were to be laid to fill that well which was created. And a new soil was placed there, which then became the foundation. So you can imagine the kind of challenges that we are facing there. All this also is partly because no steel will be used. The mandate is no steel to be used because the steel has a life of 94 years or 100 years. So we are following whatever is mandated and we are wanting to live to that expectation. Whatever has happened now after 22nd is history, because you can see the lakhs and lakhs of people visiting the temple and visiting Ayodhya, knowing fully well that the civic amenities are still inadequate. But that is what is called the faith, and that is moving, and it is living. It can be seen living in Ayodhya. So I have said all about the temple. I'll be happy if there is any question that you want to ask.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for this brilliant expose. Extremely educative. With that, I'd like to open the floor for any questions, comments. Yes, please. Great pleasure to have Sanjeev Sanyal here from the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you. So, thank you very much for a fantastic speech, and not just it's a theoretical one. You have actually lived it and done it. So, amazing project. So, let me say thank you very much from all of us for getting this project done. I'm just curious that since you did such a lot of excavations, I know you found a lot of evidences of earlier constructions there. One is, of course, what you will do with it. That is. But can you give us a sense of how many layers of these constructions were there? Did you find Iron Age artifacts? What did you find from this great dig? It must be quite fascinating.
Actually, all that was done in a defined area by our Department of Archaeology, and Dr. Mani was leading. So that collection which was done, there they describe, in the report itself it comes out, that there were various inscriptions and also symbols, obviously destroyed in some manner, going deep into 14 layers. And that also they mentioned that we did not want to go deeper than that. But they were convinced that there will still be similar nature of things which will be available. So all those things which are, I've seen it, partly was logged as per the orders of the court. Later on, when it was found, it is logged as per orders of the district magistrate. They are in 3-4 different buildings. Now, of course, it is a trust property. And we propose to have one gallery meant only for this in the museum which is going to be constructed, or the project is being taken. But some of the similar kind of objects are even now occasionally reported and given. I would recall about 2 months back, there is one, high mount called Kuber Tila within the complex, not outside. From the temple about 100 steps. So that Kuber Tila, we were putting Jatayu there, the bird character in Ramayana. While the digging there, we got 3 shapes of loin which were exactly like what you have seen the face of Senghol. Exactly that. It is kept there with the General Secretary, Mr. Champat Rai. There is a sword which is there, deep there, which was taken, yeah. And that is also kept.
In what era would that be? Has it been dated?
No, no date, because this has not been referred yet to the department. So it is still kept with the General Secretary of the Trust. At some stage, maybe what you are suggesting could be. But just now, because the digging was going on and these things were seen, so that has been given. A very soft feet. Definitely you can make out that this is out of the idol of a child. Deep, while the foundation was being dug up, was seen. So people have got a lot of faith in that. It is kept there. So things are there for reasons that there is no controversy. Areas have really not, I mean, they didn't, Dr. Mani also did not pursue the digging in a wider area, on a very selected piece.
Can it now be done now that things are, is there, like at this Tila, for example, can we go right to the bottom of it?
Well, it all depends, but I don't think it's possible really, because A, for the reason that there is now a construction already taken place. There is a Shiv temple there at the top and a Jatayu now. So the construction has taken place and it is going to be one of the important visiting points for someone who comes to the temple. In fact, the president is visiting tomorrow that Kuber Tila. So I don't think government and the trust would like to undertake another excavation because that time the excavation was done as per orders of the court to find out if there is evidence. But since that controversy is not there, I doubt very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajan Chibber.
Jai Hind sir, I am Rajan Chibber. I am chairman of Rashtriya Sainik Sanstha. This is an organization we created. Anybody who loves nation, he is a Sainik. We have 1,25,000 people. Some of them are Padam Shris associated. I took civilians also in that. Most of my family people, we have given 10 generals to Indian Army and many IAS. So I thought yesterday night I came from Ayodhya. I will share my experience with you. And we had taken 2 Volvo buses of ladies, those who are Rashtriya Sainik Sanstha's Nari Shakti, to Ayodhya by Volvo buses. And the suggestions which we have made, our officers are ready, they are hardly all retired and very well paid by the government pension. So I would suggest to involve them for better administration, solving people's problem. Even if you land at the airport, there is no any Indian eatery. You get only hamburgers and sandwich and all. And plus there is no table where a ladies or person can put whatever he wants to eat. That was one thing. And third thing, when I went to that ghat, I just remember Guptar Ghat, to have Guptar or Guptar Ghat. So I was told by our army driver from Dogra regiment is there. So I said, is it safe to have a bath here? So he said, sir, वहाँ तो तबेले में भैंसे नहला रहे हैं. I said, then I will not have bath. I am a strong Hindu, and Brahmin also. So I would love to, but मैं अपने पैर धो दूंगा और आचमन कर लूंगा. So that was one. Third thing is, I would like to repeat one thing. And I'm very glad to hear from you, sir, how much input you have given our country. As we are proud to be in. I was really surprised to see such a huge project. And I would like to quote one example of my uncle who was governor of Punjab, General B.K. Chibber. If you have Josh and Jalan, you can achieve anything. terrorism was in Punjab, he gave us terrorism-free Punjab. So वहाँ पे बहुत कुछ करा जा सकता है अगर जो लोग इन गवर्नमेंट में इन्वॉल्व नहीं भी है. ऐसे हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन राष्ट्र सैनिक संस्था, वी आर डूइंग लॉट ऑफ सेल्फलेस सर्विस टू द नेशन एंड सोसाइटी. वी आर गिविंग पेंशन टू विडोज, वी आर एजुकेटिंग पुअर चिल्ड्रन. एंड एम्स में जाके रोज मैं झगड़ा करता हूँ कोविड ये कैंसर पेशेंट्स के लिए, बिकॉज कज़न इज हेडिंग द कैंसर डिपार्टमेंट. मैं गरीबों के लिए जाके लड़ता हूँ. तो मेरा सजेशन सिर्फ ये है कि कंट्री इज़ ग्रेट, कंट्री इज़ फुल ऑफ टैलेंट and full of good people, and we should be proud of that temple which has united us. Thank you very much. This was my only suggestion.
Thank anybody else? Yes, please. Please identify yourself also. Please identify. No, for some people may not.
Okay.
By the way, I just wanted to share with you, sir. There's a lot of my young colleagues who have come from Jaipur. They've driven down at 5 a.m. in the morning to be here. And then they'll go back. So I'm sure that some of them would also like to ask some questions over to you.
Sir, my name is Anil Khetan. Sir, I wanted to know what's going to be built on the first floor and the second floor of the temple.
You see, in fact, my answer would also address some little political controversy. The ground floor, from the very beginning, was only to be for child Ram Lalla. So what has been completed is the temple of Ram Lalla. People say temple is not complete, but the fact is all the mandaps are complete, iconography is not complete on the pillars, and of course the idol is installed and everything. So that is ground floor. On the first floor there is going to be Ram Darbar, and in about 3 months' time the first floor will be ready. We are debating what would be the stone or metal of the Ram Darbar. I mean Bhagwan, Sita, Lakshman, Pradhan, all that. The choice is restricted between the marble and titanium. Titanium, as you know, is the wonder metal. So, but of the two, there is going to be the statue, which will be all that idol will be made, and Ram Darbar will be there, and regular prayers will take place. On the second and the last floor is earmarked for special anushthan, which the trust will decide what nature of anushthan prayer by any private or the public should be done, because it will be extremely restrictive. And expectation being that those who will be involved will be doing high degree of spiritual participation there. And that is, and then just above that, of course, is Shikhar. Yeah.
Thank you. Sujan?
Sujan, my name is Sujan Chinoy.
I'm the Director General of the Institute.
I'm the DG of the Manohar Parikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis, and
Thank you.
Former ambassador.
No, I just wanted to request,
thank you,
so that
Pradeep.
there are many people who may not know.
Thank you, Pradeep. And we worked closely together during the G20 when I was the T20 chair. Sir, I worked with you also, sir, under your guidance on a number of things, and it's been a great privilege, sir. So this architectural wonder that has been created there, my query relates to the importance of our indigenous architecture and the technologies that seem to have been used or perfected or revived in the course of this great experiment in terms of constructing this marvel. So what is it that we can now spin off from that as a benefit to revive indigenous architecture in general, not necessarily for temples? Because you referred to the fact that there's no steel and that this is expected to last centuries. not just 100 years. There is a very special foundation that you have created, and we overall are in a seismic zone overall. So, are there spin-off benefits that we can use for the common man also, and for other architectural sort of institutions that we wish to build, including temples, of course?
IIT Kanpur has asked that the whole construction, starting from foundation onwards, that should be documented. So, Tata Consultant of Engineers, in our agreement with them and after this IIT demand, have been asked that they will prepare for each stages of the construction in terms of design, drawing, material used, then the system which is process, SOP, which has been adopted for making the construction, because there was a lot of discussion on this SOP. In fact, I never understood this word till finally I got to hear for hours together. This will be discussed, that how a stone will be laid and another stone will be laid on that, and everything is stone there. So a special SOP by CBRI was thought of and has been documented. So all of it now is at the moment in the custody of the trust. Every time a foundation got prepared, the documents were handed over. The raft was done, it has been handed over. The plinth has been done, it has been handed over. On the plinth, the stonework has started, it is being recorded religiously, all the data, etc. Likewise, the Parkota, which is about a kilometer around the temple, which is under construction at the moment. So, separate documents are being given. A copy of that, in fact, will be given to IIT Kanpur. They have already demanded, because they want to start, and IIT Chennai both want to start a civil engineering one subject is a temple architecture. And that is what they want to do with the, and this will then become a case study.
So could I just make a small suggestion here? The Archaeological Survey of India also needs to be frequently trained because they spend a lot of time and resources on repairing and renovating our traditional architecture, and that should include temples as well. So the technologies that you perfected in the course of this construction should actually be available to the Archaeological Survey of India as well. I mean, that's a humble suggestion. So thank you.
Thank you. Samar and then Lakshmi. Samar and then Lakshmi and then Bipul.
Thank you, Pradeep. My name is Samar Verma, sir. I am an economist and been with the research and policy work in the development sector for a long time. Very close well-wisher of CUTS. I first wanted to thank you and congratulate you very much along the lines of some other speakers on not only having led a transformative project, a civilisational nature for this country and for a lot of people outside this country as well, but equally for in the manner in which you brought this construction to life. It's almost, I mean, I felt like a small child listening to stories. It was so powerful. I mean, much of these statistics have been in the public domain. Some of us have read it, but the manner in which you have woven the story together and brought the Ram Lalla Temple construction alive for us. As I said, I felt like a small child for as long as you spoke. So thank you very much for that. I just, I mean, a couple of things that you shared, and I wanted to ask you a question, sir. You mentioned specifically about the role of civil society, especially when it was in the context of raising resources, and you highlighted that role. I'm wondering if there is a possibility or a consideration of having, going forward, do you see a role of civil society in the way the temple is not only constructed but maintained and across the wider city? So the contribution that the temple makes to the city life, do you see a role? Is that something that you would like to make some useful suggestions for us? That would be a great help. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You want her also to ask and then?
Sure.
Thank you, Pradeep, for, I'm Lakshmi Puri. I'm here as a devotee and really thrilled that the Ram Lalla Temple has come into being at last. And of course, my, can I say, friend, my mentor of many years, has been the one to really, he's the man of the moment, the one who has delivered on this very noble and sacred project. Your rendition of how it came about and the journey that we have traversed to reach here really brings out the marvel of the coming together, the confluence of political will on one side, the judicial volition finally coming through, and then the Jan Andolan and the people's movement. You know, that confluence, that alchemy is what really brought this along. And then you have, but you know, all of that can be there to take that decision, but then to realize in concrete terms and in terms of the astha, to realize the actual building of the temple. You have been the creator, the administrator, the bringing together. So congratulations once again, and you are very blessed to have had that privilege, I must say. I just wanted to bring out 2 points. One is, I think, related to what was mentioned, because you know, in India we create many beautiful things, monuments. We have a heritage, very rich heritage of monuments, and also temples, but we don't maintain them. And so I hope Ram Lalla, and especially, I don't want to say north south, but I think, for example, and I'm a regular visitor to Tirupati. Every year I go there. The Tirupati temple, the Tirumala temple, for example, can set very good benchmarks of how it must be kept clean and preserved, and what SOPs to follow for the bhaktas, and the facilities to be provided. So I think and this is already attracting, as you said, thousands of lakhs of devotees every day already without any facilities. But now going forward we will need to cater to many more. So that is one, and especially the cleanliness aspect. And the other curiosity I have is, to what extent, one is the other confluence is how we have used technology, the old and the new technology. So I am very curious to know that you also mentioned schedule, कि उसको time से deliver करना है. So what were the miracles that happened, or the marvels that happened as you went along constructing this temple on schedule, and what was pure technology, but also some things that just came through. I wonder if there were those moments that you went through in building. And last but not least, and I can't let this pass, I'm happy to hear that there's going to be a Ram Darbar, because during the fervor that was rising as the Ram Lalla Temple was being built, the cries of Jai Shri Ram were being raised, but many of us felt that we should also be saying Jai Siya Ram. So how is that going to be? Because apparently Ayodhya has a very special place in Sita ji's also, evolution and her being a goddess. So I would very much like to hear from you where that is going to come.
Take one more question and then you answer this. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Starting with the Jai Siya Ram. This was the feeling all over that how come Ram Lalla only and where is the place for Sita ji? Obviously with Ram Lalla, Sita ji could not be there. But let me tell you, not many people know. For at least 800 years, there was a small construction there which was confirmed by Edwards. He was the DC there in 1902, and what he did, he went around, he walked the area, the entire Ayodhya, and wherever he saw some historical construction, so he had put a stone there, and the name of the place, the year at which it was done. So there was a Sita Rasoi, and it was a small temple, very small temple. And it was written, when I went there first time, I saw Edwards, 1902, Sita Rasoi. In the construction of this temple, it's a fact that that temple was coming in the way. So it could not be preserved in the same manner. So we have found out two solutions. One is the Parkota, which is the outer boundary, that has got 6 temples. It is called traditionally Panchayatan temples. One temple, which is right at the straight line about, let us say, 100 feet from the Sanctum Sanctorum, is Annapurna ji. Annapurna ji has been picked up because she represents Shakti, and Shakti is Sita. So that's one place. And what will be the use of this? The prasad for Bhagwan will be cooked there, and it will be taken there in this Sanctum Sanctorum. So that will be there. And the second, of course, Ram Darbar, where Sita ji obviously finds a prominent place. Maintenance is a big challenge. I entirely agree with you. There is a bit of a difference of opinion. It must happen. Differences are also welcome. I feel that after 1 or 2 years, there has to be a more structured organization, like you mentioned Tirupati. Tirupati is administered under the Act. But the trust here, for their own right reasons, are of a very strong view that it must not be done in a bureaucratic manner. They think that Tirupati is being run by government there. So they don't want that to happen. But maintenance is a big challenge. They have a lot of faith in this, what is called, Kar Seva. Lot of faith. Incidentally, the collection of fund was done by those workers only. I mean, I did not mention, but they were in some manner or the other identified with Vishwa Hindu Parishad or RSS. I mean, Vishwa Hindu Parishad is part of RSS. So all these 20 lakh of people were the volunteers from there who went to the villages and collected the money. So they feel, the trust people feel, that they will continue to have those kind of voluntary workers who will do the maintenance, etc., and manage also, by the way. But of course things are happening. Your last question, your first question was, did you experience anything while the construction was on? It was experienced every day. But what was happening was, I'll only tell you what is human, but it came. Dr. Reddy of Apollo Hospital came about 20 days back. So he said that, look, you have got an emergency wing for medicine, treatment for the devotees, first aid kind of a thing. He said, I take the responsibility. You give this place to us. I will put 4 doctors. I will put 4 beds here. The best form of heart detection problems, etc., will be right there in this building, and it will be no cost to you. So, pro bono. Shikhar has got silver plating. So are the doors of the temple. They are all going to be not silver, gold plated, all of it. It is already there. Shikhar will also be there. It means few 100 kilos of gold. It has come from somebody who does not want to mention his name, from Bombay. And not smuggled gold. You know what he has done? He says, I will issue the check in favor of RBI. I will get the gold released from RBI, and that gold will be used in the temple. We don't even know how many crores. The jeweler says it is 93 crores worth of gold which is being used of it. But these solutions have come as the problems arose. And I have experienced this in last 3 years. To your observation, of course, again, it is the issue of monuments being created, and they should be looked after, and there should be proper arrangement of administration. I absolutely agree with you. This is something which at the moment not getting so much of attention, but should get it now, since we are in the process of coming out from the temple by middle of 2025. That will be important.
Thank you, sir. Bipul Chattopadhyay, Executive Director, Cuts. Talking about the museum, which is coming up in the temple complex there. I'm sure that there will be several sections. So I would like to, or rather we would like to know more about the different sections that you have in mind. And I hope, sir, that there will be a section on Netaji.
Section on?
Netaji. Because many of his items which he used are there in Faizabad. We have seen them. His specs, his cigarette case, the letter which Suresh Bose, his elder brother, had written to him when he was in Faizabad. It is there, handwritten letter, preserved. So I hope, sir, and my request, that there will be a section on Netaji. Thank you. Gumnami Baba, used by Netaji. Netaji used to be there in Faizabad.
How did it reach Faizabad? That is the
The
question.
Netaji.
He was.
Sorry.
His articles.
वहीं थे, बिल्कुल थे, गुमनामी बाबा. There is no doubt on that. There is no second thought.
No, but just to give the little bit of idea, of course he knows, there used to be one Guptani Baba, and he died only 4 or 5 years back. He claimed that he is Subhash Chandra Bose, and he was living in one room somewhere. On his death, in order to avoid controversy, all the things which were there, he used to say this pen is Subhash Chandra Bose, and he himself is Subhash Chandra. It was not, he was saying that he said, I am Subhash Chandra Bose, I have come to live here. No, obviously the government did not recognize that. The courts also did not recognize that, because the age factor, he couldn't have survived. But he claimed, and so everything is locked, it is there, it remains there. Instruction of the government, I just inquired that please do not touch these 2 rooms which are there in the at the moment Antarashtriya Ram Katha Sangrahalaya.
Can I just seek a clarification?
Yeah, please.
Out of curiosity, I'm General Arun Sani. I also commanded 4 Div. So I've been to Faizabad in 2006-07, the first time. And I saw all these stones that had been marked and numbered, which had happened over the years. And you could sort of, the layout as it comes out now, had all these separate pillars and separate platforms, numbered and stones kept there. Was that really followed, or was it, it's out of curiosity, because they were all numbered and said, this is meant for this particular minaret, this is meant for this. Did that actually manifest in that manner? Curiosity.
We have used 100% stones. They were actually done by the then trust of Mr. Ashok Singhal. And Singhal, late Singhal Sahab, obviously was, in many respects, he led the movement. So, as part of his challenge to the system, he had contracted an architect for doing this work. And we later again signed with the same architect. He is Sompura of Gujarat. And this agreement, late Singhal had signed in 1992. So his family we signed again, and all those stones which are there and carved, they have now been used in the, and also not just stones, but there was a brick donated by all the villages of India. That was also kept, and each brick it was written Sri Ram. So all those bricks have also been consumed in foundation.
Thank you. Since we are only 4 minutes away, and Khanna Sahab has his own conclusion to speak about, I would like to.
I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah.
No. I am giving you special permission.
Sir, Abhishek Kumar, I am the founding partner of a public policy firm based out of Jaipur, and also worked with CUTS for about a decade. And our focus is on aiding subnational action for national development. Sir, one of the things that we often realize is talking to bureaucrats, and we have a very positive mindset when we work, because oftentimes one only picks up faults in the administrative machinery and things like that. But there are such great practices that need to be recorded as we go along. And here is an opportunity, not just around the temple, but for the district development, if that there can be a mechanism to institutionalize the urbanization, the development in the process, and what it may look like later on, so that it is institutionalized and it is for everyone to see. That will be a great service, sir. Thank you.
A very good point. Now, Misra Sahab spoke about 4 distinguished civil servants that he had worked under, and the last one was Tejendra Khanna Sahab. One important attribute which he missed saying, and this is a result of that attribute, is what you see today where we are, is his visionary. He's a visionary man, in the sense the kind of support. And Atul Kaushik sitting there has been a part of that process from that time when he was Deputy Secretary in the State Policy Division. That was quite small at that time, sir. And so I'm really very grateful, and in the context of celebrating our 40th anniversary, I thought let me reiterate this very simple point that the visionary, the vision that Tejendra Khanna Sahab had is a result of which you can see a living proof of that in this organization. Over to you, sir.
Firstly, I think we all need to very warmly again congratulate Nripendra Mishra ji for an outstanding and very enlightening presentation of this whole journey. And there are astounding kind of details which he has cited. And all I can say is that some of the things that he mentioned, for instance, in section 145, the use of that, because when I was Deputy Commissioner in Ludhiana, at some time the Gurdwara Singh Sabha in Ludhiana, they were having some elections to elect the new, set of people who will manage the Gurdwara. That happens to be the most prominent Gurdwara in Ludhiana, and of course lots of collections also coming in, Chahava. Two groups got into such disputes, and as you know, with Sardarjis, kirpan is an essential part of equipment. Talwars are taken out and they were brandishing it in the Gurdwara premises. This was brought to my attention by the local officials. I applied 145 CRPC and took over the management of the Gurdwara Singh Sabha. I think in the history of Punjab, probably this has never happened. Because they said, keep off religious places and religious sites. I took over the management. 15 days thereafter, the Chief Minister transferred me from the So, you have powers, of course, vested by the Criminal Procedure Code, but I think he did mention that I did not sometimes hesitate to use powers simply because they might have an adverse consequence on my own position. That was one. Secondly, when he was talking about this whole issue of the stability of the temple, and I remember when we were constructing the Commonwealth Games village on the bank of the Jamuna River, and there again it's on the basically banks, you can say, of the Saryu River. By normal geological processes and natural processes, the soil becomes very sandy, and the clay content keeps on falling. It becomes very sandy and therefore not able to support weight. So I can fully appreciate what he said, because when it came to building the Commonwealth Games village, and the site had been selected before I even came into the office second time, 14,000 pile foundations had to be actually prepared, right resting on the rocky layer in the substratum of the Jamuna River. They had to go so deep to hit rock and erect 14,000 piles on which then the plinth was made and the 33 towers came up for the village. So huge construction issue. These problems have been very adequately attended to, I'm sure, by the top experts from the Central Building Research Institute, the IITs in Chennai, Delhi and elsewhere. And when it was said that the temple shall last for 1,000 years, I am sure it will not only be on account of the technological, capacity, solidarity and correctness of what was done, but because of the blessings of Lord Ram. Because at the end of it, everything that we do and succeed in doing has a divine sanction and divine approval. Yes. That's how it is. Yes. I read the Hindu regularly as one of the papers I subscribed to 2-3 days ago, in that little faith column, Rama the Eternal Guide. So I immediately took a picture. I said, I'm going to this particular seminar or this conference. I should have something to say. It says here, Rama made no distinction between the rich and the poor, the mighty and the weak, a king or his subject. He treated everyone with respect and reiterated the importance of getting along with everyone in this world. When confronted by challenges, he applied the principle of Mata, Pita, Guru and Devam, Devtas. So basically, as was rightly mentioned by Pradeep Mehtaji right at the beginning, we have the Ram Temple. It's a great, as I say, a symbol of our Sanatana legacy, the Hindu legacy. I have openly stated that of all the civilizational evolutions that have happened in mankind, without claiming anything more than is deserved, the Hindu civilizational legacy happens to be absolutely at the top, truly, of human, spiritual and philosophical evolution. There's no question about it. This has been acknowledged by top philosophers in Germany, in Switzerland, in France, anybody who has gone deeper into. I was reading a book by American authors, and they said if there's one country where we actually need to go and immerse ourselves in the spiritual legacy, the philosophical concepts, perspectives about life, about humanity, about what we are all meant to be doing, this whole concept of dharma, artha, kam, moksha, who has it? And the final choice, finally, is connecting with the divine. And people like Dr. Radhakrishnan is saying, why we don't fight? What is the Hindu legacy? Openness, love, compassion, service, humility. It's right there throughout the entire Hindu tradition. So when we say Hindu, Muslim, bhai, bhai, or whatever else, it comes very naturally. The question is, are the other communities equally willing to say Muslim Hindu bhai bhai or Christian Hindu bhai bhai? Do they have that width of perspective and vision to really embrace everybody in universal fraternity? That is what we need. And I feel that whatever we are doing in terms of consolidating the Hindu legacy and the Hindu identity is, as you correctly said, not a great service to this nation, but to the world as a whole. And in tomorrow's world that is emerging now, India has to play that bridging role of embracing the entire humanity, helping to solve problems, and basically getting the inspiration of Lord Rama and all our tradition, to actually put it into the practical sphere and help to resolve daily problems. I have also, if you remember, we had a 2-hour discussion in the India International Center. Yes, ago it was in the Principal Secretary. And I said it's high time a country like India has to not play second fiddle to any other country in the world, whether it's the United States, Russia, China, anybody else. It should damn well be standing on our own capabilities. Intellectually, we are way above the rest. Spiritually, we are way above the rest. Not to dominate, not to have any sense of aggrandizement or, we have never done that, but certainly to help resolve problems and say what it takes to keep the truth, irrespective of costs. I'm sure that's going to happen, and the greatest symbol of it is the construction of the Ram Temple, where Nripendra has played a yeoman's role. As Chairman, the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you very much, sir. And Lakshmi, if you read my speech, I start with Jai Siya Ram. And have you understood his nuance? I think what Khanna Sahib said, and I would like to reiterate what I've said. You see, we have to look at Maryada Purushottam Ram as our, as our guide, as our symbol, as our role model. That is what is important for us if we have to, be a peaceful society to grow.
That's what you
and knitting the world together.
And knitting the world together.
We are the only people who have the actual spiritual capacity to embrace humanity.
Exactly.
And that is true. And let's do that.
And half of humanity is in women.
Jai Siya Ram.